There is an overwhelming number of games on the Nintendo Switch eShop, with more and more digital releases coming pretty much on a daily basis at this point. There are some crap that releases on the eShop, but oftentimes we get many gems, many really good games that a lot of people overlook at times. And today I am going to talk about one of those games that I don't hear enough people talking about, and that is Shadow Blade Reload. And I'm here to tell you why this might be the best 10 bucks you can spend on the eShop at this current time. So be sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future content. And let's get into what I think about Shadow Blade Reload and why I think it's the best 10 bucks I've spent on the Nintendo Switch eShop in 2019. When I first saw the trailer for Shadow Blade Reload, I could just tell that there was something special here. The game looked fast, fluid, and fun. Finally, when it released on April 3rd, I was able to check it out for myself and see if it's a good game or not. And let me tell you, spoilers, it's a really good game. And not only is it a good game, but this game is only $9.99 on the Nintendo Switch eShop. And so far, I've put about 3 hours into it, and I'm not even halfway through the game. So you're going to get some good value out of this game. Now, in Shadow Blade Reload, you play a ninja named Kuro, whose master has been taken from him. So you set off on a journey to try to rescue your master, and you get caught up in a crazy scenario as that unfolds. Now, the cool thing about this game is that the story is told through a series of comic book-like panels with some animation thrown in and sound effects and voice, and the artwork is really good, and it's a really good way of storytelling, especially if you are a comic book fan. I enjoy the cutscenes quite a bit that come across these comic book panels, and I think you will as well. Now, the game is broken up into 7 chapters, or at least what I can see on the world map, there are 7 chapters. Each chapter consists of a certain number of levels. In each level, your goal is simply to make it to the end of the level. Throughout the level, there are 3 symbols that you can find called kanji symbols, and there are also orbs scattered throughout the level that you can find. You also have a certain time that you want to shoot for to try to get maximum score. So throughout the level, collecting the kanji, collecting the orbs, and reaching the end of the level within a certain time limit will all accumulate to a certain score you're going to get at the end of the level, all the way up to, I believe, the best is the S rank. So this really creates a lot of replayability in the game, because you can replay levels to try to collect the 3 kanji symbols as well as all the orbs, and you can try to replay levels to beat them within that specific time, and try to replay levels in order to get an S rank in each level. So the game has a lot of replayability, but if you don't care about any of that, you can just simply go through each level, experience the story, and experience the fun gameplay. Now, this is a very fast and fluid game. You're going to be moving at pretty quick speeds. The controls are perfect. They are just spot on. They are simple, but you can do a lot with them. So obviously you move with the left control stick. You have a jump button. You can do a double jump. You also have a dash button on the right bumper. You have an attack button for your sword, and you have an attack button to throw shurikens. You can throw 3 shurikens before you have to wait a few seconds for them to recharge. So you never really run out of shurikens, but you can only throw 3 back to back before you have to wait for them to recharge. Melee enemies, it's easier to take them down with your sword, whereas ranged enemies, it's easier to take them down with your shurikens. You can also wall jump. You can also, when you dash against a wall, run up it for a short period of time. You can also do a downward sword stab. If you attack an enemy with a melee attack, obviously you'll hit them with your sword. You can do a sword attack while dashing. If you use a melee attack against an enemy that's a certain distance away from you, you'll throw like a chain at them and pull them towards you, kind of like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. And it's really, really cool. And all of this combines to create a very fast and fluid experience. This game would be a speedrunner's dream, because you could combine all these moves together to try to speed run through each level as quickly as possible. There's a huge variety of enemies in this game, and it seems like the game is constantly throwing new enemy types at you all the time. They each have their own different types of attacks, and they each have their own different types of weaknesses that you have to figure out. And I like how the game introduces you to new enemy types, because basically what it does is when you encounter a new enemy type, there'll be a short cutscene where it will zoom in on that enemy type, kind of show what kind of attack they have, and it will give you their name. And it's just a cool way to introduce you to each new enemy. There are also a lot of obstacles and traps to avoid in all the different levels, like spikes and blades and saws and lasers and electricity and fire. There's all sorts of different obstacles that you're trying to traverse around as you go through each level in each chapter. There are some levels where you're being chased. There's some levels where you're chasing stuff. There's a lot of variety in the game, and so far I have not got bored at all, because the game keeps throwing new enemy types, new level types, and new mechanics at every turn. Each chapter has its own aesthetic. They're all different from one another. You start off in the temple area where your dojo is. Then you move on to sort of a small town, and then you move on to chapter 3 where you're on this dojo on top of a mountain and you're trying to climb to the top of it, this tower. And then chapter 4 you're in a huge bustling technologically advanced city. So there's a lot of variety within each chapter. And the game is fairly challenging too. There are certain times and certain levels where I died multiple times, but it never felt like it was a cheap death. It always felt like it was a death because I just wasn't good enough yet. I hadn't quite learned that particular level and that particular part of each level. But eventually you're going to get into a flow state where you just feel like you're flowing through each level like a true ninja, taking down enemies at every step of the way very smoothly and fluidly. And it feels really good whenever you're able to achieve that kind of fluidity within a level. Now there's also a challenge mode in the game, but I've yet to try the challenges mode out yet, so I'm not really sure what that's all about. In addition to that, when you beat a chapter, you unlock hard mode on that chapter, and I haven't tried that out yet, but what basically the game tells you is that there are more enemies added to the level, and the levels are actually changed up a little bit. So it's almost like you're getting two games in one in a certain way, which adds even more content and replayability to this $10 game. I cannot stress to you enough, this game is really good for 10 bucks. It is the best 10 bucks that I've spent on the Nintendo Switch eShop in 2019, and I think that you all will greatly enjoy this game. So there you have it, folks. Shadow Blade Reload, the best 10 bucks I've spent on the Nintendo Switch eShop in 2019. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure and hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below if you've played Shadow Blade Reload and what you think about the game. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Also, let me know in the comments down below if there are any more obscure games on the Nintendo Switch eShop that you think I should check out and do an impressions video on. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so and join the RetroWolf family and help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Until next time, keep playing games, keep having a good time, and I will see you all in the next video.